2002, Sega revived one of its classic franchises when it released Shinobi, a pure arcade-style action game featuring incredibly challenging missions and unique play mechanics. Now, this latest Shinobi game has its very own sequel in Nightshade. Those who like their games nice and easy should look elsewhere, as Nightshade presents a monumental challenge. In Nightshade, you play as Hibana, the female counterpart to Shinobi's Hatsuma. Hibana will need to brave about a dozen perilous stages filled with enemy ninjas, robots, and hellspawn. Furthermore, she'll also run across her former master and his cohorts, as well as a very nasty ninja cyborg. The game's story unfolds via pre-rendered cutscenes in between each mission. However, the story takes a back seat to the action, as well it should. Nightshade is structured just like Shinobi. The missions are linear by design, and each one culminates in a battle against a challenging boss opponent. These boss battles actually sometimes take longer to finish than the stages leading up to them. You'll need to master the specific play mechanics in Nightshade if you hope to get through even the first half of the levels. The key to the gameplay is Hibana's limited ability to fly. As long as there's an enemy that she can bounce off of, Hibana can remain aloft indefinitely by using the game's distinctive control scheme. In Shinobi, you needed to perform some perilous leaps from wall to wall and over bottomless pits, and you could leap quite a distance by double jumping and then using a stealth dash. Nightshade ramps this core gameplay mechanic up a notch. The game kind of plays like a platformer, only instead of jumping from platform to platform as in Super Mario Bros., you'll instead be leaping from enemy to enemy, killing them one after another, and using them as springboards to your next victim. There's more depth to the gameplay than just flying around from bad guy to bad guy, though. Like in Shinobi, Nightshade challenges you to kill multiple enemies in sequence and rewards you for doing so not only with a cool cutscene and extra points, but by making Hibana's sword stronger and stronger with each successive foe in an area that she slays. When you kill an enemy, the enemy freezes and a meter starts dwindling down. You have just a few seconds to kill another foe. If there are 4 or more enemies in an area and you manage to kill them all in a sequence, Hibana executes a tate, and all the enemies are split in half at the same moment. This is how you max out your score, and it's also the key to beating most of the game's bosses. In some ways, Nightshade is actually easier than Shinobi. Shinobi's Hatsuma needed to constantly feed his sword with enemy souls, lest he run out of power. Also, in the previous game, if you died during a mission before reaching the end-level boss, you needed to start that mission over from the beginning. In Nightshade, most missions contain multiple checkpoints, and Hibana has no soul-craving blade. Also, unlike Shinobi, the standard foes in Nightshade really aren't that much of a threat. They mostly just stand or hover there. It's the bottomless pits and the bosses that make this game as difficult as it is. Nightshade is longer than Shinobi and features a surprising number of extras for those stalwart enough to not just finish the game, but to score well in each of the game's stages. Unlockable characters like Hatsuma, unlockable outfits, bonus missions, and concept artwork are all waiting to be discovered. Nightshade offers a lot more lasting value than the average single-player action game as a result of all that. The gameplay rewards skill and repetition, and there's little chance you could finish this game short of a few days' dedicated work. The game looks similar to its predecessor. Some of the environments look quite cool, while other stages are pretty bland. Most of Hibana's foes don't look terribly detailed either, but the simplicity of the visuals affords the game with its very fast, smooth frame rate. Meanwhile, Hibana's red and white ninja armor, combined with extremely dexterous-looking moves and flowing pink scarves, lend her a unique look that's only comparable to that of Hatsuma from Shinobi. Nightshade doesn't offer the option of Japanese dialogue like its predecessor did, though the English voice acting is understated enough and therefore works out fine. The sound effects are good all around, but the soundtrack is just terrific. It's upbeat and intense and featuring some traditional Japanese instrumentation for that authentic touch, as well as lots of synthesizers that make the music sound like it could have been ripped from some 15-year-old arcade classic. The game's difficulty, meanwhile, is clearly a design choice and not a fault, though the gameplay itself does have a few quirks. For instance, Hibana will sometimes target an undesirable foe, and at times the tate sequences will occur just as you're hovering above a bottomless pit, which can throw off your timing and get you killed. However, these are just small problems in a game that's relentlessly hard, and getting around them is just part of the challenge. In the end, Nightshade is a better game than its predecessor, and it's a uniquely difficult and potentially very rewarding action game in its own right.